Start. Okay, started. Okay, it's AWD in Walla Walla, Washington.
AWD in Walla Walla. This is Tuesday, and we got there. Let's see, around 5 o'clock. So what was going on is they had the whole day of different events, right?
Yeah.
So just very briefly, the guy who owns this Batmobile, he lives in Minnesota, I think, and he trailers it in, and he's got his own Batsuit, and so all the things said that, see the Batmobile and see Batman and whatever. So they had an event at 11 o'clock, and they had an event at 3 o'clock. We got there around 5 o'clock.
You missed it.
5 o'clock. Well, we missed the first two events, but the last event was two events. Was the movie, they were showing a documentary on Adam West, which is very good. It was a Kickstarter thing, and it kind of followed his he didn't have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and people wanted to get him a star on there. And so they actually got him a star like a couple years ago. And the movie covers that. And so they were showing that documentary for free, and they were going to have the Batmobile there, and Batman was supposed to be there. And so the guy, I actually met this guy before in Spokane. And so he pulls up, he's not wearing the Batman costume. So I ended up being the official Batman at the movie theater, and stood out there from like 6 till 7 and took pictures with kids and adults and stuff like that. I think people thought I was with the city or with the event or whatever, but I was just there.
Well, I gotta say, your boots look mighty fine.
Those boots are the most comfortable boots I've ever had. So that was kind of fun. And I got to sit in the Batmobile before, and it's just, what can you say? It's the coolest thing.
So is it a Toyota?
No, this is at the Toyota Powerhouse Theater. So Toyota sponsors it. It used to be a powerhouse. You see the power grids in the background?
I do.
It used to be a generating plant, but it's not anymore. They turned into like a theater where they do plays and concerts, and they've recently started showing movies there. They have a nice projector and about 300 seats inside there.
So you must have been all smiles.
Oh yeah, it was a blast. People loved it. They were very, very excited to see Batman in the car. So that was neat. Then after that, after the movie, then the director was there, who directed the movie, and they had a Q&A. That was neat. And then right up the street at this Marcus Whitman Hotel on the right, they were going to light the bat signal, and so we went over there and grabbed some pictures of that. That was pretty cool. Took some more pictures with some people and left. That was the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, I hope you got paid well.
Yeah, in smiles. I got paid in smiles.
That's great.
Anyway, that was my fun for the day. All right, let's get moving. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody out there in Clarion Live land. This is the Clarion Live weekly webinar. See it and learn it and share it. This is number 430. Today is September 22nd, 2017. The Clarion day is 79161. All webinars are recorded and available at clarionlive.wikispaces.com. And please join us on Skype. Ding! Bruce just came in. I had to make him an organizer real quick. Okay. All right. Your hosts for today's webinar are Arnold, who's here. Hello, Arnold.
I'm shaving my head for the CIDC.
Really?
Yeah.
Just no reason, just random thing.
I just feel like it.
Okay. Well, maybe I should do the same thing. Maybe all the presenters should do the same thing. Then you'd know who we were, right? That would be interesting. Okay, John, that's me. I'm here. Lisa is not with us today, I believe. We need to talk with Lisa. We're going to see her in a couple weeks.
Good.
Bruce is with us today. Hello, Bruce.
Hello, everyone.
Yay!
Hello. And Mike Hansen is not with us today.
Oh.
I know, but what can you do?
Yeah, he's having trouble putting his pants on.
Yes. Rules of the webinar. All attendees are muted. That means we can't hear you. Type your questions into the questions box. We'll read them to the presenter. If you want to speak, we encourage you to do so. Please raise your hand and type in the questions box. And finally, don't point. It's rude.
People point at you?
Do people point at me?
Yeah.
On occasion.
Oh, during the AWD.
Yes.
Oh,
But in that case, it wasn't really root, I don't think.
that's what I was wondering.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, just general rule there, I guess. All right, what's up today? Things you need to know, and then we have a featured presentation, Noyantis surprise party with Andy Wilton. I'm telling you.
Do you know the surprise?
John always knows the surprise. That's the
problem.
problem.
Neither confirm or deny whether I know the surprise.
I've heard rumors, though, that it's cool. That's all I've heard.
I think you heard rumors that
leaks.
It was super cool.
Leaks, I think, is the word I used. Leaks. That is super cool. That's the leaks I've heard. I know someone who knows someone, and that's what I've heard so far.
Yeah. So that's all the info we've got so far, so we'll see how this all turns out. Huh?
So it might be a real surprise.
It's a real surprise to some of you.
Ooh, that's an indicator.
It's well, we'll see in just a few minutes. All right, announcements. There was a Noyantis user group meeting, and Andy is actually here with us. He can unmute.
No, but he'd have to talk about it.
He would have to talk about this. This wasn't a secret. There he goes. Okay.
Have you got me?
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay. Yes, there was a Noyantis user group. I took some notes this time rather than trying to guess. And we did a bit of work on the take event, on the lists and report controls and so on. I think we actually found a bug, actually, when the report control is enhancing a list, basically a queue, if you will, rather than a page-loaded or file-loaded browse. We got a request for integration from our products to iDash. Sorry, is it iDash? Dashboard? iDash, isn't it? And I did say that Bruce had quite kindly, last time we discussed it, which was quite a while ago, kindly provided a license. So now Noyantis will have more time after CIDC, or at least that's the idea, because they'll be full-time on Noyantis. Then, yes, that will be one of the things that will be coming. Realistically, it'll be charting and report control, those type of widgets. So, Bruce, get ready for some questions.
Always questions.
So, well, it's good for our integration. The users like it, and we like it. And we built a skeleton app where basically somebody had come up with a challenge, if you will, and it weren't John for a change, where they wanted to basically make an app look like one which they were using. It was a well-known graphics application, and they wanted to be able to create an application which looked and handled like that. So we created a skeleton app, which, of course, if anyone would like a copy, download the webinar, take a look at it. If you like what you see, and you've got the products, of course, and just drop me an email and I'll zip it up and send it across to you. And the last but not least, we had a look at Property Grid with regards to word wrapping. And that was it, really.
Yep, another excellent session. And then there were some Spanish webinars, as usual. And then there was an open webinar. And it was a little short. We kind of ran out of questions, and we all had things to do because of this CIDC thing coming up. And you remember what we did, Bruce? You're better remembering these things than I am. We did things.
Am I back?
Okay.
Sorry. I pulled my
back.
headset out by mistake.
No.
Yes, so there was a couple of JFiles questions. There was something else as well.
Oh, there was no. That was on that was that talk user group I was thinking of.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Okay,
But
we did
seeing
things.
as Andy has A, got time, and B, now apparently into note-taking, I think I nominate Andy to take notes of the open webinar. Hey, what do you think, John?
Yes, Andy should start coming to the open webinars now. That's what I think.
Well, now I can. I will attend, because in the past I was contracted to a particular company down in Nottingham, and it just put it out of reach. But now, no, I will do. After CIDC, yeah, I'll see you there.
Cool. That would be awesome. Yeah, gives another resource that people can draw on. That's terrific. Okay, and then there was a NetTalk user group meeting, and
There was a short one, just over a couple hours, and we looked at the 1007 build a little bit. Kevin had some feedback. He's been getting a lot of GPFs in his server, and he had some feedback because he made them all go away. So some good tips there on what might cause problems and what did cause problems and so on. We talked about save files and restore files, which is an ABC thing, and when you would use that, and specifically in the context of ABC when you'd use it, and then in the context of web server when you'd use it. We talked about a lot of people are seeing a lot of PHP requests against their server, even if they're not supporting PHP. Where do those come from? Why are they there? Are they harmful? All those kind of things. And then a bunch of other questions along the way, including David Watson asked about how it all kind of plugs together, a very high-level overview of how traffic actually flows through a machine. And, you know, when it comes in that Ethernet cable that's in the back of your PC, what happens after that? How does it get to your program? And when it leaves your program, how does it get back out to that cable? So that was quite interesting. And other than that, yeah, just the usual questions and answers. So all good. And that's posted, so guys can download that.
There you go. And then next week, Dave Harms and Rick Martin will be with us, showing us Team City and Cruise Control. I don't know anything about Team City. I know a little bit about Cruise Control, so that should be very interesting. And that's what we got going there. Oh my gosh, look at this. For those who didn't know, there is a Clarion International Developers Conference coming up in October from the 9th through the 13th. And I just got the lanyards in yesterday.
That would be next month.
It's next month. I'm leaving
next month. 2 weeks. 2 weeks time.
No.
And in fact, this time now, 2 weeks, I will be in Orlando. John will have just picked me up from the airport.
That's right.
We will be poolside at the Rosen Center Hotel, joining a webinar from the pool, sipping something interesting, and generally just mocking everyone who's still not there.
Mocking?
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's the plan.
I recall. That's the plan. Yeah. And yes, so it's coming up like fast. You can still register if you haven't yet. There's still space if you want to attend in person. That would be great. If you'd like to attend online, that would be great too. The online, we're really working hard to make sure it's a very good online experience. I've been doing a lot of testing this week with multiple cameras and video switching, and we should have high-def signals going out and streaming onto YouTube and all sorts, and a 360-degree camera as well. It'll be popping up from time to time. So the online experience should be pretty good. The in-person experience is even better, so pick one and we'll see you there. Wow. 2 weeks. Oh gosh. I know. And that's the schedule. We've seen this many times. Nothing has really changed. That's it. Okay, so that brings us up to our feature presentation, the Noyantis surprise party with Andy Wilton. Hey. Okay. So let's switch it over to you, Andy.
So how are you going to tell us the surprise at the end?
I think that will
the surprise is the surprise. Okay. So you can see the screen?
Surprise.
Yes, it says surprise on it. I'm surprised already just to see that.
Yes, so am I. Okay. Well, basically, for anybody who doesn't know, although I'm sure you all do, we do a range of templates, mainly wrapper-type templates for ActiveX type controls. Although we do have some products as well, which are just Clarion source code, Clarion templates, Clarion source code, and so on. But it's true that we do specialize in the wrappers. Okay, so the scenario goes that quite early this year, I picked up some work where we had to do various bits of communications, and at the time tools weren't available and so on and so forth. So of course you have to get your hands dirty and start looking into what options and what utilities are out there. A while ago, I would say approximately, I think it was 2013, I purchased ActiveX Control by a company called Chilkat. I tested it and so on and so forth and wrote an interface into the Google Documents. The scenario was there was a number of sites, I think about 17, 18 sites, who updated their sales figures on a nightly basis all into one central spreadsheet. So they wanted to be able to press a button in their application and update one central spreadsheet with their particular cell and so on. Customer loved it and so on. And it was the Chilkat control that gave me the ability to do that. So we fast forward to earlier this year, and the work in question was to talk to the online zero accounting application. So basically got back in touch with Chilkat, upgraded the license to their latest version because the old one was a good 4 years out of date and so on and so forth, and wanted to prove that it could actually was capable of doing the job. I'm glad to say it was. It used an OAuth 1 interface, but also used other steps to be able to actually get the connection in the first place. So we did that. I, as always, wanted to put it through its paces. I knew the older version was rock solid and stable, and at the end of the day, that is one of the first things I always check for whenever we do a product. When we did the CodeJot wrappers, I'd already used them for probably 2 years prior to even contemplating doing in templates. So I knew they were rock solid. The Chilkat one I knew was, but I wanted to put the new version under its test. So I did tested the Zero interface, both running in a standalone application, polling, sending and receiving things every few seconds. And I left that as a standalone application running for 5 days solid. I also then installed it as a service using self-service from Capesoft. And I left that, it weren't quite 5 days. I think that was something like 3.5, maybe 4 days. And again, it didn't miss a heartbeat. So basically, I'm more than happy with basically vouching for it. Since then, we've had to do more and more work and different types of interface. So what does the actual product give you? So if we scroll down, basically our new product will be a wrapper template for the Chilkat bundle. Now their bundle, there's a lot of terms there. Some people will recognize straight away, some they won't have a clue. To be honest, you're in good company. I look at some of these and I didn't have a clue either. I've learned a lot in the last few months while I've been doing creating this and so on. And there's still so much more to learn. But at the heart of it, that is it. It gives you the ability to communicate to basically website APIs with ease. Famous last words, of course, but there's other utilities in there as well. For example, email, including IMAP and so on, JSON manipulation, XML, zipping in various different flavors, so tar, gzip, so on and so forth, string manipulation, date and time manipulation, file manipulation, file access, and so on and so forth. There's a whole host of things, utilities, features, and so on in the actual product. So just to put a bit more of a description against these, and anybody at any time, please feel free to jump in, raise a hand, and so on. If you see something and you've got a particular question, if I can answer it, of course I will do. If I can't, then we'll have a look at the Chilkat docs and see if they can answer it for us. But a quick description of those types of things that we've just seen are basically it's here in front of us. So we can see that you've got now where is it? I think I've missed one. Oh no, that's coming shortly. We can see that we can do. There's a class for authenticating with Google. There's a class for authenticating with Azure, Active Directory, or the SaaS storage, and so on and so forth. trying to pick out the main ones. The Atom was the one I used years ago for the Google Docs. Now, and I think that might have changed, to be honest, with the new, with the latest V2 or V3. I think it might be interface, but at the time that was the V1 interface. John or Arnold, are you keeping an eye on the hands up? Because as I'm scrolling here, I'm not seeing anything.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. So basically, just to rewind a little, a lot of these, basically, they daisy chain onto each other. So, for example, when you're doing, for example, earlier today, I was doing a REST API interface. I made use of the string builder and the JSON. So basically, I would load the content, what I wanted to post, into a JSON object, load it into the string builder, create a second string builder, and then call the REST to do the full body communication. And I would get the answer back in a string builder, and then I can just basically pass that to a JSON. So there's a lot of integration between all of these. It sounds a lot of work. I'll show you in a minute it's not. But at the raw level of all the classes, you've got all that power available to you. So I can't stress just how powerful all of this is. You can get your hands dirty as much as you like, or of course you can use the templates and classes to make life a lot easier for you as well. Basically, the main ones I would pick out of these would be like the Azure, the email. You've got FTP, but realistically, you know, do we all use it? It's got the ability, should we need it. HTTP, requests sending and receiving, very powerful in its own, very powerful in its own right. The JSON, obviously, any kind of modern communications. XML was, the biggie. Now JSON is. The manipulation of that is extremely easy. It's pure dot notation. So if you wanted to create a structure of, let's say, item 1, sub item 1, grandchild, or let's say parent, child, grandchild, and then that had an array within that, it would literally be parent dot child dot grandchild dot item array element 1, and that would build the whole string for you. In one command, you would have your whole JSON structure. Likewise, if you receive JSON data from from an API, you can get to it. You don't have to load it into any array or any queue or any string or anything. You can literally just get it into the JSON class and just ask for that particular element. So the thing you would query would be parent.child.grandchild.item array element 1 and whatever element within that you wanted to query. It would even tell you the type of data contained within that. And of course, the arrays, if you were building them, are dynamic. So you just keep adding to them as much as you need. So really, really powerful. It's bailed me out so easy and very fast as well. There's quite a lot to do with the Java. What are they called? These Java. No, that's JWE. Sorry, I'll come back to that. OAuth 1 and OAuth 2, of course, are catered for, and your certificates, PEM files, PFX, private and public keys, and so on. Those come in handy, and you'll see them in action in a second with Zero. And REST. Most modern APIs definitely provide some kind of RESTful interface, so you've got that covered as well. There's socket capability with SSL, of course, to be able to keep your channels open, which I use on one of mine. Basically, just to keep the connection active. Then scrolling down, the string array. Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to see the. There's the not string array, sorry, string builder, which is I must have missed off on this. I'll add that afterwards. Again, hand in hand with the JSON and the XML type classes become very powerful. URL manipulation, nice and easy. If you've just got past a full URL, then you can use that class to query just parts of it. So you want to know the port number, for example, and so on and so forth. And zip. If I'm highlighting any, it'll be those type of classes. Okay, that's going to be the product. It's probably a lot for people to take in. The actual, unlike the CodeJock wrapper which we did last time, which basically I think CodeJock includes something like 12 separate elements, and we have done them one at a time. So we released the shortcut bar first, and then I think we did the calendar next, and so on and so forth, because they were all self-contained. On this one, it's not really going to lend itself. We're not going to do individual wrappers just for the XML part or just for the REST part, because they are so closely linked, and you would use a combination for one to talk to the next, and so on and so forth. So we're doing one overall wrapper. At the heart of it, there will be, I think it's something like 92 or 96 classes provided, all with the ability to easily talk to each other and interchange data with each other. So yes, it will come out in one go. The product is very, very, very much early in beta from a class point of view, that is, from the template and class point of view. But even in the beta stage, I'll demonstrate what we've got today, and it's still, you'll see it's quite easy to use and quite powerful. At least I think so anyway. Feel free to pass judgment. Okay, any questions so far?
Yep, David Watson saying he's happy to see the zip classes because he needs that right now. He also was saying that he sees that there's classes for Amazon S3, and he likes that as well.
There is, yes, to do with, it's not something I really utilise, but I know David has expressed an interest because it's one of the questions he'd asked privately, but it's regarding S3 buckets, creating them, using them and so on. And yes, there's examples and classes available for that. In fact, let me show the classes that the interface that we've got and how you'll use this in your product, and how we can also then make those things a little easier for you. So
let me. There's two other questions really quick. Maybe we'll do that first.
Of course, yes, yep.
Roberto is asking if it works reg-free.
Oh yes, of course. It's all reg-free com compatible straight away. So the example we're using today, which we'll demonstrate in a few minutes, is fully reg-free com. So it's, as with all our other products, it's a tick of the global extension template, reg-free com, and you're good to go.
Okay. And then Nardis was just saying that on the Chilkat website they have support for QuickBooks. Do you have that as well?
And again, I will cover that in a second as well.
There you go. All right. So we're caught up.
Okay. Is there any on the Skype? Because I've just seen a couple of Skype popping up, and I don't know if that was to do with...
no, people are just pretty much just chatting about it.
Okay.
Excited. They want you to keep going.
I'm going to burn out in a minute. Probably only another 20 minutes, half an hour, and then we're done. It's early finish for everybody today.
Oh, no. I'm sure there'll be more stuff to see here. Let's go.
Okay. So. What do we have? Just 1 second. Won't be a second. Typical phone call comes in just as we're about to go. So to the actual interface, of course, it's the usual: add the global extension. Then you go to your particular extension. So we'll just see, let's say, the string builder. You would have probably a boring window, to be fair, because let's face it, comms is exciting, but it's all background data. It's up to you to talk to it, present it nice and nicely to the user, and so on and so forth. This library is very much doing the grunt of putting stuff to the APIs, getting the data back from the APIs. So you would add an extension. the Chilkat extension, and then you select which base classes you want to use, if at all you want to use any. They're all, as you've just seen from that list. Like I say, there is a good, got to be 90 odd base classes available. So we've got that there. There's string builder. So if we want to make use of the string builder class, we will just tick that, and of course that's available to you. The same with the JSON, REST, so on and so forth. As well as those type of base classes, which of course are available to you in raw formats. This is what I was saying. Even in their base and beta format, you'll have the base classes available to you. You'll have some of the class methods wrapped. Of course, there'll still be others still to do, and we'll be in the process of doing that. And while we're doing the beta process and while it's still in the beta phase, we'll keep adding to that. Literally, this will be weekly updates because it's quite a mammoth task. But if I waited to get everything out, you wouldn't see it until next year, and it's already in use now in live applications. Okay, so you can make use of all these and use them together. But what we've done is go one step further, and we've created these what you call task classes. So, for example, Dropbox. I could go to Dropbox. I've got here, I want to use a task class, so I'm not using any of the base classes. I'll go straight to the task class, and I'll just say I want to use the Dropbox class. Now, this is an extra class that we've created, which takes a lot of the hard work out of the interface for you. Now, at the moment, I've just got them 4, and in fact, the PayPal I've had anybody who joins us on the weekly user groups knows that we do have some kind of, I'm always at the mercy of our broadband connection, because since moving into our new offices, we've actually had communications issues, and it's been out for most of the day. So I've been unable to finish off the PayPal one, which was what I was working on. So that's still in progress. Now, the list of task classes that I'll probably be going with is here. Let's just bring it in. These are the helper classes, if you will, the task classes. So there'll be Amazon S3, because I know that people are interested in using them. So there'll be an Amazon S3 helper. There'll be a Dropbox, an eBay, an email, Facebook, Google. The 3 that I could think of straight off the top of my head would be Calendar, Contacts, and Drive. Microsoft OneDrive, Outlook and Office 365, PayPal, QuickBooks, Salesforce, SharePoint. I did see some things for Walmart, but I don't know, maybe we could have a quick show of hands. Does anyone really use an interface into Walmart? I mean, to be honest, that'll probably go further down the list, should it be needed. That'll definitely be towards the end. Twitter, Zero, and Zip. Those are the planned task. There'll be, like I say, weekly updates, so you'll see them starting to be rolled out in quick succession, really. So you say somebody mentioned QuickBooks, was it?
Hey, Andy.
Yeah. Yes, QuickBooks. Yeah.
Andy. Arnold there. Hey, your QuickBooks, will that be the online or the desktop version? Or both?
I should imagine it'll be the online, I would have thought, to be honest. Because the whole point of this is, let's just take a quick look here. The QuickBooks and creating an account. It looks like it's the online. OAuth 1. Yeah, uses OAuth 1. And there's examples for creating accounts, reading, querying, employees, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, basically I'll get you to that point. Then if if anyone needs help on more, that's where, with the user feedback, we make the task classes, more usable. Because I don't use all of these. Of course, I use Dropbox and eBay and email, the Google Calendar and OneDrive, of course, Office 365 daily. So, it's very easy for me to do those and test them. If we don't have a Twitter account, we didn't have until first thing this morning, because I thought I'd get the PayPal one done and do the Twitter straight afterwards. But as I say, no communications kind of put bait to that. Basically, we use most of those. Good experience in the Zero interface because, like I said, did an interface, but it weren't just an interface. It was a full class wrapper for a particular client who wanted that to basically integrate into their existing solution and do all the not just the comms, but actually a nice little take this data and put it straight into an invoice format for me up at Zero. So that was quite good.
Greg. Salt.
Greg, yeah.
Yeah, he said that LinkedIn might be worth considering.
Oh yeah, actually, that's fair, good point. Yeah, I'll take a look at LinkedIn. Just trying to see here. I'm going to cheat and see if they already have a example.
Yeah, you don't need a space between the. It's just one word, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, that's that. So let's see some of it actually in action.
Rating. Yeah. Surprise.
So I'm not going to go into the base classes because we can touch on them afterwards. Maybe something like the JSON object, just to show you how easy it is to build the actual structures. Genuinely, I can't stress enough. It was genuinely how easy it was to build what could be really a complex structure, and you just do it in one line. And get it from one line. It really is very simple. So Dropbox. So I've already created a hook point into Dropbox. So basically, I've gone to my Dropbox account. You go to, I think it's dropbox.com/developers, and then you go to my apps and you create an application, and that will give you an access token. And I've given the access token basically full access to my Dropbox. So let's take that out of there. We'll get a connection. We'll download, and it's found 14 entries. And here we can see the actual raw data coming back. So now we can see there's a Chilkat demo, so I can say query that one. And yeah, there's 2 entries, which I happen to know there are 2 entries in there. One's a subfolder and one's a file. And we'll quickly disconnect. So to show you the code that we've had to write to do that compared to what you would have had with the base classes, let's take a look. So to get the connection, it's very simple. I've named the class Dropbox. So it's a connect with an access token, and that will return me a true or false if I've got my connection. To get the files, it was download the folder list. I give it a path, and do I want it to be recursive as I'm querying that? And that will return you the total number of entries. Now, I'm going down this kind of approach with all of the task classes. Returning a -1 would say basically there was an error. It couldn't do anything. A 0 is it's got the connection. There was just nothing to download. 1 is obviously there's 1. It's just really a wording change, and n is greater than 1 really. How many have you got? If you want to get them actual raw results, then there is a query of get last results, and that will get you the a string of the actual results. Now, of course, you might not want the actual string. You might want the string for debugging and so on, or visually seeing, which we've just seen here. But in reality, what you would probably want is the response object. So basically, you'd want to go straight to the response object, put that into a JSON object, and put it straight into an array. And query the JSON object if it's a repeating array. So repeating elements within an array, which you just saw in the Dropbox results, which we got back. So there's still, I'll be totally honest, there's still more work to go onto all of these task classes, but they are the starting point, and they'll be added to all the time, and basically we'll make it as easy as possible. Now, if we compare that, let's say the connection, for example, and disconnect, by the way, is just disconnect, so it's not really hard. But if we take the connection, you can accomplish it in just one command, and it returns you the true or false. In reality, for that Dropbox, the connection, basically, I'm just seeing what the actual code is on that. Do you know what? That's a bit of a boring one. We'll switch to one of the others. Maybe 0. So the connection there, because all that does is really instantiate the REST class, and basically does a connection on the REST class with that. To do the query, you do a bit more. So that download, what that technically does behind the scenes, would make use of the REST class, to basically build the actual, to actually do the communication. Sorry, just 1 second. Sorry about that. Yes, basically to do that, it would build a JSON content, put it into a string builder, which is the thing I was saying before, a string builder object, and then pass that string builder object to the actual REST class for the full request command. But you don't have to do any of that. There's just one command. A better example would be, so let's say, zero accounting. So once again, on the zero accounting, actually we'll do this raw. What you would do is you would build, I don't know if anyone's ever done an interface into Zero, but basically what you would do is build a PFX file, build a certificate, and we can do that here now. So let's open up a folder. We'll go to our example today. Examples, Chilkat. I happen to, here's one I prepared earlier. So I've just got a little bash file. And what this will do, and we'll just get rid of the other files just to show that it has done its job. So we'll basically create a certificate. Nottingham, locality, could be in Ashfield. Not that you really need to do all these things. Noyantis, dev, we're good with that. Admin at Noyantis. Oops. We'll give it a password and confirm it, of course. And hey presto, that would have created us a PEM, a PFX, and a certificate. Now then what you would do is go to Zero, and many APIs can be like this as well, by the way, but you would go to Zero, you would upload your certificate, so you would create an application which is capable of talking to the Zero accounting data. So basically you go to Zero, you go to My Apps, and you register an application. It's just a name, but you give it basically an application. You give it that certificate, and that would return you basically a consumer key and a consumer secret. That consumer key and the consumer secret, combined with the PFX file which you created when we created the certificate, is your basically your way into it, if you will. So if I I'm going to make sure that they are passworded, because I just don't want to reveal those, so just let me quickly make sure I've got the password on those two. And no, I didn't. Let's just put those on. Unless, of course, anybody would like to see that actually in action of creating the thing on Zero itself. Really up to yourselves.
Do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
shush.
Well, we won't have them as finger them, but what I will do is I'll delete the application straight afterwards, because obviously this is recorded. So there we go. So there's our application. We have there's Zero. We've got a PFX file, which is under there. Sorry to flicker there. So I shall go into this 030, and we know that there's our PFX, and I give it a password. Now you would go to app.0.com. You would go into there, go to your applications, so my apps. We'll add one and we'll say it's a private application. I'll upload the certificate which we've just created. Examples, Chilkat, and there's the certificate. And yes, I'm happy with that. Give it a name of Clarion Live. No, two publication link to organisation. Oh, well, that's a bugger. Right, no problem. Let's delete that one. And add a new one. So private, Clarion Live, go to our certificate, and save. That gives us various bits of information. We have that. I'll just move that off the screen 1 second. So basically, although you're going to see it, I'm just doing it so I can copy and paste. We'll put that in. Oh, and by the way, it's only the demo company, so there's no live data in there. But basically, just to prove our connection now, we're connected, download, and that's downloading the contacts. This was to do that, and they are the contacts straight out of the Zero accounting. And one thing, if anyone's familiar with Zero, and especially the API, is the default with Zero for quite a while now, for years, is XML format. But with JSON being one, better, and two, more lightweight, definitely the communication method to use. The type to use in communications. Then I've turned this to use the new JSON rather than XML format. Of course, you don't have to. You can basically go back to the XML. The class will support it. Of course, it's just, I think you'd be better with this, that's all. And the manipulation is a lot stronger. Just keep that there. So basically, I'll save that. We'll connect, download. Yep. So you can see that in action. What I'm going to do now is, nobody minds, is I'm going to delete that app because I just don't like it being public. Okay, so that should be gone, which means in theory. Is there any questions on that before I actually kill this connection?
I do not see any questions on that.
Okay. So basically, let's delete that, and now if I try and connect, it's still connecting. It's a little worrying, but okay. Okay, better look at that. Other interfaces you've got are one to Google Calendar. Right. So basically with the Google Calendar, this is accessing it, and this is the one thing I did want to, sorry to jump about, one thing I wanted to stress is on the Zero interface, you can see here, you saw that we built a PFX file and a password, and it's encrypted and so on. Same type of command. So a different class, still a task class, which is a helper type class. Connect, we need to pass it the file name and the password, the key and the secret that we got from 0, and that will basically give you the connection. And then you've got different downloads, so we've got download contacts. We go back to that connection for the 0, just to show you what it was doing from a class point of view. Is basically it would make use of the PFX base class, because it has to open up and load the PFX file, which of course is password protected. That then puts it into the PFX class object. We would then basically initialize the OAuth1 class, set the consumer key and the secret and so on. We would then set we want basically the format of the PFX key was RSA SHA1. So we would set that, and then we would basically tell OAuth1 to use that private key, the first private key out of that PFX file. After that, it would do a RESTful connection to it, and after the RESTful connection on a secure socket, it would then basically link the OAuth class, which you've just put your private key into and initialized and so on, link that to that connection, to the RESTful connection, giving you the ability to be able to talk. So it doesn't sound much, but in reality it is, compared to one command of connect. So that's the idea. That's the approach we'll be doing with the REST with the task classes. Well, we're going to show, let's say, Google. So with Google, you've got different ways of communicating with it and so on. What I'm demonstrating here is I'm using a service account. So the service account will give you access to Google, and especially if it's in a domain. Now we use Office 365, but you for ours and so on, we don't pass over control of our domain over to Office 365. We just use it for the usual email, OneDrive, so on and so forth. But we also use Google. So you've got your Google Calendar and so on and so forth, and you've got Google Drive. But again, we don't pass over the authenticity or the control of the domain over to it. We keep the control of the domain ourselves. You can still do all of that, but within Google, you can have multiple users and so on. If you've got that, and so on, so we've got a couple. We've gone into Google. You create. You've got your OAuth2 access to it, but also you've got what you call a service user service key, and we're using that for this demonstration. So basically, that would give you a JSON file. So we will just load that. So we go back one. Here's one, and I've got the service client file, which has come from Google once I've authenticated myself in Google and so on, and give myself permission to do this. And then within the domain, I can actually emulate any user within it. So I'm going to emulate that particular user. So I want to connect to Google, which I've got a connection. I'll download the events from the calendar, and here are the events. So now basically also the class, it's overrideable as you would expect, but you can actually then tell it to basically optimize the queries. So if I was to download again, there are no events to bring down. And you might question, why is that? Because you've just got 6 of them a minute ago. And that's because technically nothing's changed, and I'm only querying changes since the last time I queried. So if I go on to Google now to show you, okie dokie. So here is the 6, there's 1 recurring and 5. If I was to delete that one, sorry there, and delete all of them, so they've gone. Well, on here, if we download again, there's 1 event which has happened, and basically it's telling me that that event has been cancelled, which is technically what's just happened. Download again, there should be nothing because we've not done anything. We'll switch back to our Google app, so we'll have that over there. Let's pull that to there and download, and we can see, yes, that there's the change, what's occurred. And we can see the new date and time for it. Nice and easy, very fast, of course. We've just done a full synchronizer app, which I can demonstrate if we've got, well, we will have time actually, but we've just done, we've done one, not necessarily to interface into our particular product. We've done this as contract work and so on, so it won't be released and so on. But the point I was making was the heart of this, the heart of the work we've just done is all based upon basically the Chilkat products. It wouldn't have been capable. It wouldn't have been basically easily done without it. I'll be honest with you. So, that's the type of that's the type of things that what's coming out. I'm really running out of time here now. If you want the content, I mean, I'm sorry. I wish there was more, but that's basically where we're up to. Any questions?
I have kind of a question. So, if I'm just starting from scratch,
yep.
And I want to, I don't know if you have the OAuth stuff done yet or not. I guess maybe not, but
yeah, well, the 0 is using OAuth 1.
Okay. Yeah, so it's, I guess, how would I do a new Dropbox connection or something? Like if I wanted my end user to connect to Dropbox, they would just click a button and it would do all the prompts and everything. Is that what would happen?
Yeah, well, basically, going to what we had before on the Dropbox, you would go to developers.dropbox. So it would be along the lines of let's go off that one. What is it? It's Dropbox, yeah, /developers, remember, and apps. So we can go into here. You would create an app. I'm not going to go and do this. It'd be a Dropbox app. I'm going to give it full control, if you will. We'll give it XYZ. Create. The name is already taken.
I've got that one.
Anyway, yes, XYZ, okay. Basically, I'm not going to reveal any of these. You generate an access token, and that would give you connectivity. You're then basically giving. You obviously you don't reveal that. You protect that with your life, but then you're giving that. You're giving your basically that access token access. If you've said full or just one particular folder, of course. Access to your Dropbox account. So that's what we've got here. We've got an access token. It will use that for the connectivity. So we'll just go to this. And we'll just get rid of that folder.
So that's connected to your Dropbox account, right?
Yes, but basically it's connected to the Dropbox, which is associated with that access token.
Okay.
So basically, it's whatever that access can get to is what that is connected to. So,
okay. So if you wanted people to be able to access their own Dropboxes within Clarion,
I would. Yeah, oh, definitely. Well, all this is from within Clarion. But yes, basically, they have to go to Dropbox to basically give permission to. Now, of course, this I'm using the access token approach. There is the OAuth 2 as well, where basically they can do it where the application prompts, so it'll pop up like a browser, your browser to say, John's application wants to access your account. Do you want to allow it? They log in the browser, and then basically the application would get temporary access to it. So OAuth 2 would give you that type of approach. I'm using the access token here because then you can store that and so on. Very dangerous, of course, because it's got full rights and so on. But that's down to you as a developer to go with the approach that you want to go with.
Okay, so the end user would either have to go do what you just did and create their own app, I guess, basically, in their own token, or they would log in using OAuth 2 and just type in their name and password or something, and then that
no, they would still have to probably go down to Dropbox, and in the apps, because in there, that's where for the OAuth 2 you would get your key and secret, because that's based upon OAuth 2 is based upon those two elements being passed. So they still would have to go to Dropbox to basically say that they want something to have an interface into their account. Their account.
Okay. I thought they would just be able to just log in from Clarion, basically. So it looked like they were just accessing it. I thought that's how.
I can. Well, quite possibly. I haven't done that way, but I'll take a look. There's no problem. Oh.
Obviously, we want to make it easy for people. We want to make it easy for us to code it. We want to make it easy for people to use it, I guess, on our customers.
Yeah, I mean, you might well be right. It's just, as I said right at the start of this, from a communications, come from a pretty strong communications background, but looking at the stuff looking at the power of the functions that the class and the products provide, it really has blown me away. It provides quite a lot, and there's so many new terms to learn and so on. Hence why I've come up with the task. I mean, basically, I could have shipped a template with all the base classes. You would have had the ability to do all of the things, but you would have got your hands dirty, and I don't think all Clarion users would, and that's not knocking them, because I was one of them, and I still am in some respects, would want to go down that route. Would you want to write several lines of code with error checking, or do you want to call one command which says connect, true or false?
No, I really like this approach. I like what you're doing, because it does make it easy for me.
Yeah, but so to go on that, yes, there could be where, as you say, you can just go to it. And I'm sure it's going to need a token and secret, though, I'll be honest. But I will look at that. I don't profess to be know it all on this, because there's just so much to learn. But if it does provide that kind of approach, then the task class will provide it as well. It's as simple as we make it as easy for you guys to write your programs as possible. That's our job.
Yeah, I mean, we've had several webinars where we've talked about OAuth and how to do it, and it's make it easy for me. I guess that's what I'm thinking that you might do. I'm hoping that you might do. Let's make it easier.
Well, that's the plan. That's the plan, because I mean, there's work to make sure we've got all the 90-odd classes. They fully furnished, if you will, because there's loads of methods in each one, loads of properties in each one. That will take time, but it can still be, what can be released is still enough to get you going. And then if it's missing a bit, you've always got the get and set properties and the OCX direct command, and you've got me at the end of the email saying, Andy, you've not wrapped this bit, and I will wrap it straight away. So it will be an in progress for the next few weeks, definitely, but you can still start making use of it at the same time as well.
That's cool. Craig Ransom says, wow, all caps and exclamation mark. So I think he's liking what he's seeing.
Oh, very good.
David Patterson's asking, can we upload calendar events to the Google Calendar?
Can we upload
to it?
Now this is, as I say, this is using the Chilkat. It's for the particular project isn't for our class. Sorry, our CodeJock, the CodeJock calendar, and so on. This particular project is some contract work for a particular customer. They have got their own calendar, actually. It's not a CodeJock one. It's not even a Clarion one. But they wanted to be able to talk to Google. So working on the interface, of course, so on and so forth. just to prove that it can be done, to answer David's question, I'll demonstrate that particular application. But yes, it can do. Let's just fire that up so you can see it in action.
Are you planning to sort of connect these two things with, the Noyantis calendar and the Google calendar and that kind of stuff?
Well, yes, yeah, there could well be. So let's take a look. Of course, this is probably going to prove me wrong now. So there's a calendar. We actually changed that before. So there is that data from Google. Have I closed it? No, there it is. I bet I'm not going to be able to resize that. Ish. Yeah. Okay. I might as well have that maximize then. Sorry, just let me reload that. Okay, basically, back to our Google. So if I was to, let's put one in here for, where are we? 7 o'clock Clarion, 1700 Clarion Live. Clarion Live. Chilkat. Let's fire that up and let's have a quick look at Google, and there's our Clarion Live Chilkat, which is great. We like that, and it's going to last till 7. And now we'll look back here, and there's our calendar, and there it is at 7. So the answer to David,
this is like magic. How are you even doing this?
with lots and lots of hard work, and the added complication of this particular thing was, as I say, if it was hooking straight into our calendar, I'd have raw control over both raw objects, which would be, X equals Y and A equals B, no problem. But on this solution, we had to add an actual other layer because we didn't know the shape of data in one, and we had to come up with one common central storage where you don't know the shape of the data on either side. So it was a bit of a challenge. But it's done. It's done. Well, it's got a couple of bugs to work out still, but it's a good 90% done. So yeah, so we can do so on and pull that. And there's our Google. There's our Google. Have you updated? Yes, it's 2 o'clock. And we've got our recurrent test, so we can put, not there, sorry. Yeah, actually, why not there? We'll have a recurring event. Repeat it every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, forever. And we'll have it in green. There you go. So now I'm not going to touch anything because in the background, you're not going to see it because you can't see Sunday, but let's just pull that across. And we can see it is there. Just did a very poor demonstration. Tell you what, let's pull that down there. We'll have that up there. We'll pull that. I really need to make that resizable, don't I? 5 o'clock. We can see 8 o'clock there. We'll put something at 8 o'clock. So we'll do that again. Recur to 8 till 9. Repeat. Just on a Thursday and Friday, not on a Tuesday, even though I added it for Tuesday. In light red. And there we go, underneath you can see it, and so on and so forth. And of course, I said that there's little bugs to work on. They're the little bugs. So let's come out of that because that's just going to bug me. So just 1 second. So basically, to answer David's question, yes, you can post to Google just as you can post to Dropbox and you can post to Zero. You can basically, it's the only limitations you've got is the API. The main bulk of the work is getting your connection, getting your authentication, and getting your connection into the API. In my opinion, that's the bulk of the work. Once you've got the connection, then it's really plain sailing from there. Famous last words, of course, but to be fair, it really is. And with the power of the JSON, then that really does come into its own.
Okay, so I just want to clarify what I just saw.
You just saw magic.
So I saw magic. It's true, but I like to know how the magician does it. So.
Which one am I? Pen or teller then? Which one doesn't speak?
You're the teller.
Teller, yeah.
Yes. But we're going to change you into pen now. So, and they always explain their tricks too. You know, if you go see the show, they always explain how they actually did it. So, what you showed on the Clarion side was that a Kojak control that we were looking at then?
That was that happened to be the calendar control. Yeah, no, our bog standard Clarion control.
Okay, and then you got it working so that it's all synced together as you were making all these changes between your the app you showed us, desktop app, and the Google, right?
Yep.
Okay, so the question is, can I do that? Can I do it easily yet? I mean, you did it, but can I do it? Or can any of these other people here do it?
As I say, that particular question, that one there, what you just saw, that's actually it's not for necessarily our calendar. Like I say, they already have a completely different calendar solution. And that's not Clarion based, it's not Kojak, it's a completely different calendar solution which they've hooked into their application. So there was this complication of not knowing how the data is stored in their calendar solution, and of course, you've got how you know how it is in Google, because they publish the actual the structures and so on, and the APIs and so on and so forth. So there's no problem on that. So what we needed to do was come up with a central data repository that both sources would look at. So we've got that, and then you monitor for any changes. Now we're going to cover part of this at the training in Orlando, basically, to do with synchronizing. So the latter end of the calendar training is actually going to touch upon this exact stuff, if you will. Not necessarily the comms, but because we're not there for comms. It's purely to do with the calendar, but it's to do with keeping track of what's changed and when, and so on. And that's the key to it, really. You need one central data repository between the two, and you need some kind of audit, some kind of log between the two to say, I've changed this, now I've changed this, now I've changed this, and linking the two together. So, for example, just quickly flick back to this. I shall put a brand new event in. No, I don't want to do it from there, sorry. Let's do it. Oh, didn't mean to close the app, sorry. Let's do it again. Loading in the recur's not right, but okay. There's an issue on that. We'll put a brand new event in, and I'm going to call it ABC. Now, I've got a couple of IDs down here. I've got the ID of the Google within Google of this event, and I've got the version ID. Of course, it's not in Google yet, so it's empty. So we'll put it in. We'll send it up. There you go. Did I close my Google? Must have done. Let me just go back to this. Yep, there it is. And there's our ABC. Okay. So what has happened there is we put it into the data which was populated via our calendar control. We put it into there. The one up at Google, that was then posted up to Google. Google applied it, told us what the ID and the version ID was of that event. It's fired it back to our calendar, and if we look on here now, by magic, those two are populated, and that's how it would keep track. So keep that there. Pull that. Pull that down. Open our calendar, and you'll see if Google wants to refresh anytime soon. There you go. It changes, and do that again. I don't know what the browser is set to refresh, so I'll just go and hit F5. That'll be easier. There you go. And basically the linkage is done on the Google ID and the version number, because otherwise you go into a never-ending loop. That would post up to Google. Google would reply back with the version change. That would see a change, so it would post up to Google. That would reply back with the new change, and you go into a never-ending loop. A updating B, updating A. So you do. There is work to be done on that. There was this coming up with a solution for this was actually a lot of hard work. It would have been easier if it was just going straight from the calendar, I'll admit, but because we were going via an intermediate, that's where the main work was done.
So you're running some
did I
sort
explain that, or did I just actually confuse you more?
I think you did. I'm just trying to figure out in my head how the procedures are basically, or how it's flowing through your app.
Well, basically,
the posting is that all like on a separate thread? Is that like a thread procedure that's doing all the kind of interfacing work?
No. It's comms on the window itself. It's comms on. Yeah,
the same window the calendar's on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is just basically monitoring a queue for changes.
So you're using a timer then? Is that what you're doing?
Well, when the take event, the queue, the monitor of the changes on here is on the take event. So the minute it recognises an event, the queue has changed, it can fire it up to Google. As for querying Google, that's really down to how fast you want it. So I've put here allow timer. If I turn that off, then nothing would happen. So if I turn that allow timer off, because this is a debug app, it's not a commercial app, right. And I change my ABC up to there and come back to here, you're not going to see anything. And then I'll just put the timer back on again, and it's put it further up, but in the wrong time, but there it is. And likewise, I'll just turn that back off. We'll pull it down to an easier time so we can actually see it. So that one, put the timer back on. Now that time happens to be every second, but that really would be down to your requirements, basically your application. How much workload you want to put on the comms of your application.
Right. Okay. Now I see how the magician did it.
So there was a lot of work. There was the added layer complication, because of the layer in between, because we were talking to another unknown data format. So that basically there's a matching up, if you will. So in there, they know it. In their solution, they know the subject field as name, and in ours, we know it as subject. So there's a matching up. So it heavily uses the who, what, and where, definitely. But it does the trick. Most users won't need that. Most users will be going, I'm adding, this to my application, so I know what Google is, I know what my data source is, and you compare A to B or X to Y straight, and you won't need an intermediate level. You still need some kind of log to know who changed what when, because of course Google could go and change things externally. The whole point, chances are, you've got an interface, your desktop application, that user finishes for the day, goes home, that carries on, other changes go on there, maybe on their phone, they get an email at night, they change something, they log in the morning, you want to synchronize your desktop straight to your Google Calendar. And of course, not just Google Calendar, you want to do Office 365 Calendar and so on and so forth. So, they've got to be catered for as well. So, but that's my point, the comms library gives us the power to do all that.
Okay, so I'm assuming you'll have demos on how to do all this kind of stuff to make it easy for everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
Because this is pretty exciting. Just looking at the questions and the responses in the questions box, people are really liking this.
Oh, I've not actually opened it. I can't actually see the question box, and I'm more than familiar. Is it because I'm a panelist who've gone? Or have I just
I'll make you an organizer. There you go. So yeah, there was a question about integrating it without looking. You just answered that one. Roberto wants to be a beta tester. He's ready. Yeah, David Watson is impressive, or says, Austin says it's awesome, and Robert says it's impressive. So yeah, it's looking good.
Cool.
I think
Well,
I think this is something that people would want to see. You know, the easiest way that they can do calendar integration with Google or Outlook. You know us, right? We just want to put in a template and be done and have it work. So that's what we.
Well, one of the things we're toying with, contemplating, will be an actual raw link straight into the calendar, so you won't actually have to write anything.
Well, that's the best.
Yes, yeah, but we're only toying with the idea at the moment. But the plan is, if we proceed with it, will be basically it will be shipped as a DLL, so it won't even be sourced. It'll just be you'll have the CodeJock OCX, you'll have our template, and you'll have a support DLL. And on the template, you will just say, I link to the calendar and here's the credentials. I link to Google Calendar and here's the credentials. Or I link to Office 365 and here's the credentials. And the magic will happen automatically inside of the DLL for you. So you won't actually have to do anything. There won't be any intermediate data queue and so on and so forth, because the things can be actioned immediately.
Yeah, so raise your hand if you think that would be a cool thing to have. This is the audience participation part of the demonstration. See, look at all those hands going up. I'm telling you. Keep thinking about that.
So.
Yeah, this is great.
Well, there are a few hands, aren't there?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I think would really like this kind of thing.
You might,
especially the easier you make it.
Your Monday might get pretty busy.
So I mean, Google and the Office 365, obviously, they're biggies. But as I say, there's plenty of others. You know, integrating. I don't know how much people want to integrate with the likes of Facebook and PayPal. PayPal can be a good one from a business point of view. I should imagine there'll be the need for that type of task integration. So
yeah, I think calendar is a big thing. I think that's something that that helps us sell software to customers, because they want to see us connecting to things. And I think that's going to be more and more important as time goes on, is to have our Clarion apps connected to other things.
Well, this came
easily
everywhere. Easily, yeah.
And the thing is, this came about because a customer, some contract work that we do and so on. They wanted the ability. It wasn't the Google at the time. It was, like I say, it was to do with Zero, and we looked, and there was genuinely nothing there. I'm not saying there's nothing there. There's nothing there now, but we are talking early this year. Just after Christmas time, I think it was maybe a smidge after, and there wasn't. We tried a few alternatives and so on and so forth, and there wasn't. But of course, the customer still needs it. So hence why I went back to what I knew. I tried Chilkat in the past. I knew it was good and did what I wanted it to do back then. Looked at their particular products, and their product, looked at how they've moved it on in the last 4 years, and it's come on leaps and bounds. But then again, I suppose all our software has. So yes, basically went with that. Did my testing on it first, as I said. I think 5 days solid, basically just running. 5 days running, didn't miss a heartbeat. No comms dropped out. I got a shed load of files received, because I brought them down and stored them in separate XML files, because it was XML at the time. They didn't have the JSON interface. Yeah, basically it didn't miss a heartbeat for 5 solid days. So the only reason I turned it off then is because I thought that was long enough, to be fair. So, any other questions? No one's
David Watson.
Oh, go on.
David Watson saying he wants PayPal for sure. Mark Griffey says people don't want to use something different just because your app demands it. They want to use what they already use day in and day out, just like we do. So yeah, so that's the key, I think, is to connecting your Clarion app up to these other things.
Yeah.
Sending the data back and forth, syncing it all up.
Well, we look at, just like we did with the CodeJock things, we looked, basically, is there, I won't say a gap, but is there a requirement there? The code job there definitely was, you know, for the ribbon menus and the docking panes and so on and so forth. It couldn't be done, and we give the ability to do it. I'm not saying any of this can't be done, but basically there was, at the time of creating it, there wasn't the ability to have it there, or have it there easily at least. So now we decided to the decision to come up with this, and what's come out the other side, or what is coming out the other side, because I must stress it's still in beta. You've seen what it can do already, and this is just in beta. There will be so much more added to it, and there'll be like probably weekly updates, not during CIDC, I must stress. But after that, yes, there will be weekly updates to it. Not upsetting anything what's already been released prior, but just adding and building on top of it all.
Let's look at your list of helper.
You know, there's some examples for SQL Server even. Oh, why would that be?
Is there?
Yeah. It says SQL Server stored procedure examples.
Where are you looking, Arnold?
On the website, Chilkat website.
Chilkat website.
Mm-hmm. You look at that stuff. He's all over the place.
That's the website, Chilkat Soft.
Go to examples. You go to SQL Server, up.
SQL Server example.
Yeah.
But is this just going from the actual, utilizing the ActiveX inside of SQL? Is that what it's doing?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's just basically, instead of Clarion, you're using the language inside of the stored, the TSQL.
So
we don't need this, right?
Not really.
Unless you want to learn how to program in SQL.
No, you can do it for me.
No, I think I'll pass on that one.
So there's no SMS though.
Well, basically, you go with an SMS service which has got an API to it, and I'm fairly, even a bold statement, I'm fairly confident this will still give you the ability to talk to it, because let's face it, you know, it's covering a lot of bases straight off the bat.
Yeah, we use a Twilio. I can't remember if it's a SOAP thing or not.
So.
Yeah, so these are just examples in different languages. Yeah, that's all that.
Yeah, they are.
We need to get Clarion up there, right?
So there's QuickBooks, as we said. So we can see there's some QuickBooks here. So it's a three-legged authentication.
Yeah, the QuickBooks one, I was looking where you could write an invoice like that QuickBook Connect stuff, but it didn't seem to have that.
Well, basically, they take the thing of giving you an example to do one particular thing, but then that's your lot. Then you're over to QuickBooks API documentation for you to actually do the rest. They don't provide the whole
everything. Yeah.
Wrapped up. That's my job. but you basically, they'll get you they'll get your connection and get you maybe a query or a post, that type of thing. So, but various different ones. If you have a look at the like I say, the app, say for Xero, the documentation for this was brilliant. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Yeah, we go to accounting, for example, and contacts. Now this is still showing the old XML, but you just translate that to JSON if you want to use that particular interface. But their documentation is really good, really, really good.
Did you want to, I think the other day on the Noyantis webinar, you showed the how to build a JSON string. You could show that, because that was kind of cool, I think.
Yeah. Yep, because
JSON structure, how to build a JSON structure, yeah.
Well, let's take a quick look. Let's move that off. Won't be a second. just going to one of my examples because it'll just be easier to start with. We'll go into our JSON object. So this is the basic one. And we'll probably want in here some kind of way to emit out our JSON. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's get rid of that. And basically, we'll go for it. LV content. Required content, if you will. No, content can do. So basically, I'll have it quite large. There you go.
Trying to figure out what the LV was. It's local variable, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I always use LV, LQ, and GV, GQ for global and so on, yeah.
Naming conventions, yeah.
So yeah, basically we'll just have us, so we're entering some data. Oh, actually I can put that over there. I very much doubt we'll need it that big, but just for demonstration purposes. And we'll have so JSON, that can be a C string as well, but that will have to be, we'll have that larger. So 5,000, I'll tell you what. I don't think we're going that big today, but you get the idea. I'll just put that, I'll tidy all this up afterwards. So we want basically to be able to take that and build the JSON from it. So we're going to be utilizing the actual raw JSON object class here. So this isn't a task class. This is one of the base classes which we'll be doing. So basically what we'll take, what's in there, let's bring our JSON, I'll just bring the JSON class in. It won't be a second, just having a quick read. I've got so many files open. It's quite a lot. Sorry about this.
That's all right.
As usual, John tries to catch us on the hop. Anybody who goes to our Monday webinars will know exactly what John's like.
Yeah. But this will be a good example here, I think.
Yeah, I'll just I thought there was one particular thing, but anyway, I'll just write it myself here now. Okay. Basically, what we want to do is build JSON response. So we'll change LV JSON to, and it'll be our Tiki JSON object dot we'll want to emit. The only thing I will want to do on that, oh no, I'll quickly show you what that would be, is we will clear the content out of our JSON, clear content, and it will be, I just want to try and find the command, string of, I should imagine. Sorry about this. Yeah. tk JSON object dot update string. So you've got update string, string builder, this is where they all link together, but we'll have update string, and I will just basically pass it our content as a variable. So basically I'm going to clear the content, I'm going to pass it, and then I'm going to emit out basically the output from that JSON.
Okay.
And I've missed something out. What have I missed out? Got two lots of code open at the same time here. Path and string. Ah, right, okay. Oh, yes. Need to actually do that, so let's say that's not that. That should be LV path. That's more likely to be something like 501 actually. Now you'll see what I mean by this. We'll still do that, but basically, you pass it the path and the content.
So what is the path?
The path is basically the path of the item within the JSON structure. All will become clear.
Okay.
Just as like with Kojak, we had all the terminology to learn with that, then this is a whole new set of terminology we had to learn for this as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, so onto our JSON object. And we'll say, let's just say we want it to be Noyantis, and the content is in Clarion Live. Build that, and there's our JSON. And that could be Noyantis webinar. So it's Noyantis.webinar, and hey presto, now we've got our structure of Noyantis, and within that we've got our webinar. So we're building the full. We can put that out in more readable format, should we want. Because of course, from a comms point of view, you want it as raw as possible and as efficient and small as possible. But while we're bringing it out here, we probably want it more readable. So we'll put that JSON object set compact, set emit compact to false. So we don't want it compacted. So we'll say again, it was Noyantis.webinar, and we'll have it as Friday, 22nd September. And there you go. So now you can see we've got it in there. So what we could have is these webinars. Week commencing, and we'll have that as array element 1. And now you've got Noyantis webinars, week commencing, and then square bracket, and you've got your basically your particular item. So that should be date if it was to do. So it would be date, and you would basically we built up a full JSON, including array elements. You know, basically just without using any Clarion queues, groups, anything. Basically, we're just storing that in the raw JSON object within the class, which again is using the Chilkat JSON object, so it's not limited by any kind of Clarion constraints. And we most APIs, Google Calendars, Zero accounts, you know, clients, invoices, whatever, any of them, Dropbox, files, they will bring you back some kind of structure, and there will be array elements in it. And if we wanted to query that, it would literally be instead of string update string, it will be string of, and I will say, get me the string of that, please, and it would bring me back the particular answer, Friday 22nd of September. In fact, we could actually do that if you want. Put that as a get.
Do it. I was just thinking of that. Now I wrote it. Now how do I get it back? Because I'm going to get stuff sent to me.
So I'm going to sort of pinch that source code, paste that. So get JSON response. So we don't want to clear the content, and I just want basically a string of that path. I think it's string of. Just let me check if that is the case. Remember, I'm new to this as well. Yeah, so you just pass it the path. I'll turn the compact off so we can actually see it. Oh, actually no, it's not that. So I should have really kept that one a minute ago. So what did we say? It was something like Clarion Live, webinars, weekly, week commencing, and it's array element 1, date, and we'll have that as, and of course you can query the date, the null, the string, the int, the byte, so on and so forth, and you can query, you can set, so you can say, so you know what type of data you've just received, you've got the querying capabilities, it's all part of the class. So we'll build that. So if I wanted to get that, oh, now why hasn't that just done that for me? What have I missed out? I've evidently missed something out. I've just wiped it, but it literally is a string of command. Tell you what, I'll just keep hold of that. Put it in a thing if it saves me keep having to type it all the time. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Right, let's put that in. Whatever, just ABC, really doesn't matter. So if I get that, what about if I string of that? No, it's got to be something I'm missing out. String of Clarion. Then I better check, is my string of working, or have I?
You got an opening bracket, but you don't have a closing bracket. Oh no, I see it now.
No,
Two
that's
below. Yeah, I see it.
Right, I've made a pig's ear of that, but basically it would be the string of. But the main thing I wanted to demonstrate was, how easy it is to build really complex JSON structures. So we could say there, ABC. Would we have something in there? X, Y, Z. Let's say build that. So the date now becomes, so you could have that. And you could build and build and build, and you just keep basically until you've got the JSON that you want to go and post. And then I would personally load that into a setup builder. Nice plug for Friedrich there. Into a string builder class, which is just one command. It's emit SB, emit string builder. So instead of emitting it as a string, it puts it straight into the string builder class, and pass that to a REST. So it would be REST full, or maybe request full SB with basically what URL you're going against and the string builder that you're going to post. And that basically, this is how it all ties together, if you will.
Roberto had some questions, so I'm going to open his mic.
Okie dokie.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Roberto. No, I can't hear you.
I
Can hear you.
got several questions.
Okay.
One of them was if the Calendar Pro, if you've gotten it so that it works with Outlook now, or you're just going to do the path to go to Google now, and that's it.
Well, like I say, we're only toying with the idea at the moment, but if we do it, it'll be for both.
Okay. But you don't have anything done for Outlook yet.
No, it's just a matter of got to look at their API. I've had actually, that's not quite true. I have had a look at their API already, because I know they have the equivalent of the version of, I forget what they call it, but you basically, that's the key. You need that version. But anyway, I digress. Yes, we have looked at it.
Yeah, like I'm happy doing it through Google, because you can download the Google to Outlook anyways. But it's just a thing of downloading and configuring the calendar so that it'll work with Outlook. But it's just a lot of work to triangulate all of that stuff. But okay. The other one is how easy is it to save a whole table or a view to a JSON object?
Dead simple. It would be I'll bring in their help. Where was it? So it was on here. Let's go to one of theirs. No, it's not there. On the documentation, I can't see it for looking. Go to one of theirs. I'm sure there's doc somewhere. Nope.
You don't have a class already set up to do that yet?
Oh yeah. Let me bring that. Let me have a look. So you want to save the whole lot?
Yeah, save the whole table to JSON in order to send it to somebody.
Okay, then I would emit it to the string builder class, because that's basically to manipulate. And in the string builder, there is come on, I've seen it. There's load.
And both of those are on the free OCX part.
Yes. Oh yeah, parts of this are in the free. Yeah, actually, I forgot. I should have really mentioned that bit earlier. Actually, to be fair, our class will only be releasing as one product. We're not going to do them as separates because they are too closely linked. But yes, you can get separate elements of theirs free of charge. They only charge for certain bits. They only charge for like the REST and the OAuth and so on. But parts of it are free of charge.
Yeah, the XML and the string builder and the JSON, all of that is free.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the actual URL. Let me just go straight back to Chilkat Soft. Yeah, documentation. Sorry, there's a thing, and then I'll be able to find it in my class, although it'll be the same. But basically, I don't know whether I'd go find the string builder and go, there's a write somewhere, because you've got load file, and I thought you got save file. And if not, put it out to the file access class, which again is free.
So what you do is you send the whole table to the string builder and then tell it to create the JSON?
No, I build the JSON using the JSON class, load that into probably a string builder, and then you've got write entire file. Oh no, you could just emit that. So load it into a file access or a string builder and write it out that way.
Okay, so the JSON class doesn't have a direct save to file?
I'll have a look.
I would have thought that had it.
No, because their approach is definitely making them all talk to each other. So
because they have a load file there. See, they've got load file. It just sounds kind of weird that they wouldn't have a save file.
But basically, they're taking it from the point of view of getting the content into the JSON would be your first point, if you will, in the chain of content. So you might receive it from an API, or you could load it, or you could manually set it. But in either one of those cases, it's the first point, if you will. So you've got it empty, then you populate it, and then it's what you go and do with it after there. So you might go and update string builder, update to a string builder, or emit string builder. So there we go. We've got an emit string builder. So we would go off to string builder, and then from the string builder, I think that's got. Has that got a write file? Yeah, write file. So you would write the file from the string builder.
Right.
So your JSON really is the starting element, regardless of how you got the content in there. It really is the starting element, and then pass it across to what you want to do with that. And this is where all the integration really, it becomes quite prevalent.
Is there a limit to the size of the file that you can pass across?
Well, it's not a file. It's not a file you pass across. It's just the object. You pass the object via the get object.
So whatever memory you have in store for your 32-bit app, I guess.
Yes, basically.
Cool. Well, the other one was when you create a null or use a null, how does it get exported? Does it get exported as null, or as a quote null, or a quote, or just two quotes, or?
You've got you can add null. Where are we here? Come on, I've done it because Oh, that's checking. So that's saying is a null at set null. So you would set null at, and that would basically write. I think it just writes out the actual null, not in.
Because when you were doing there in the content, there's no way to actually do that, can you?
You would use a combination of these. Basically, I just did it.
So if on the content, on the demo that you have in the back, if just leave it blank, does it send it as null?
No, you want to build it up, concatenate them. So I'm just doing a very simple clear content and just passing one element to it. But you clear content and then build various different things, build different parts of it. So update null, set null at a particular position.
So you do have to set it somehow if you want a real null.
Yeah.
If, for example, if I want it blank, if I don't want it blank, I want it set to null. I would say, okay, any blanks I find, just set them to null. And they'll export the null value.
Yeah, so you've got like set string of, and set int of, set bool of, set number of. You've got also set number of, null of. So you pass it a path and it will do that. And I think you've got append as well, I should imagine. Yeah, append null, append bool, append array, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Well, those were my questions.
Okay. Any other questions?
I think that's it, except people want to know when they can get it and how much it is.
Okay. If you want, you will need at least elements of the Chilkat products. So as I say, let's just jump back to theirs. Where are we? Products. So they basically have, that's not the list I'm looking for. We switched back to mine earlier, the image. So the much better one where it shows you basically what's dependent on one. Now, if you're buying the bundle, then you get the lot. If, like Roberto was saying before, you've got the ones which are marked as F, then they're free. So you get the actual ActiveX controls free of charge, and so on. You can see like the SSH key and SSH tunnel is required for an SSH license, and REST, where is it? I should imagine REST that's only part of the bundle. I think there's binary, zipping, HTTP, and so on and so forth. So IMAP is required on that IMAP. So there's different bundles you can buy off them, but the overall bundle altogether is only $280. And when you consider you're getting 90 odd classes from them for $280, I think that's pretty good value considering what you're going to add to the worth of what you're going to add to your application. For our class, it's going to retail at $400, but while it's in beta, we're going to bring it down to $320. So we're going to take $80 off while it's in beta. Availability, I've built the installer, but then I've updated the classes since then, so I just need to rebuild the installer. but it will be available over the weekend. You can start purchasing as soon as I put the link on the website, really. Or if you're really keen, you can just send, drop us an email, and I'll give you links to do it in advance. But over the weekend, the actual link will be there on our go within the products. There'll be a new section for Chilkat, and there'll be a purchase link on there. So basically, I have stressed it is beta. But which will be continue to be added, but it's not beta from a stability point of view. It's only beta from me adding the class methods and adding the examples and so on and so forth. So if you want to get in at the grassroots level and push your requirements up the tree, so to speak, up the development schedule, now's the time to do it, because basically that's what we're doing.
Oops. That sounds pretty good, actually. So it's what, two? What did you say it was for the bundle?
I think it's 280.
289. 289.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So
and then yours is 320, so that's about what, $600 in for the whole thing.
It's give or take.
That's pretty good. I mean,
well, when you consider you've got, the building of the JSON, you just seen how easy that is. You've got a full email certification. OAuth 1.2, full REST, full HTTP, zipping. I mean, zipping itself, I don't know what a zip license is, but that's going to be, what, a couple $100 or something like that. So, yeah, when you start putting a whole bundle together, 600 doesn't really seem so much. And that's just if you're looking at the raw cost. If you're looking at the actual, the power, the functionality, and the net worth you add into your application, then I think it's a drop in the ocean compared to what you're actually adding to your application and the worth of your application. Personally, that's not a sales pitch. That I really do believe that.
Well, yeah. Plus, the time it would take you as a programmer to do this sort of thing of researching it all and everything like that, you'll make that up in a day. What your programming time is worth. Asenso's asking, do you have examples with the template?
Basically, this example I will be padding out more and more. So basically, there's still it needs a lot more going into the example app. More will go in next week of that. Basically, yeah, as the functions get added, I mean, not necessarily the base, like the JSON there. Just a read of the document would have told you update string of, oh, okay, that's going to set my string, or set string of, I should say, sorry, would set the string. And the CodeJock, not CodeJock, fraudulent slip there, their documentation, if we go to, it's not that, there we go. Going to there, they're really good on their documentation. So if we have a look at this and we add an array, it tells you really what you should expect. Each one of these we've wrapped. So add array at would be add array at in our class. So add bool at is if I bring our class into let's open up Notepad here.
I think that's really good. That makes it so easy to figure out how to do stuff, and it's the exact same name.
Yeah, so which one was I looking at there? Just so we can see. We are looking at, JSON, obviously. We said about that. So let me just open up that part of the thing. NYSCK JSON. NYS. You won't believe how many files there are for this. NYSCKJ. Thank you. There's that, and there's that. So you can see add array at, add bool at, add int at, add null at, and basically it tells you the true or the false of how they've done it. So everything you've just seen in there, you've got there.
That is cool. Just this part of the work it takes so long to do.
Oh, believe me, it does take so long to do.
Yeah.
So you should see, so we go down here, we scroll down that to the bottom. There's update string, and I've also got update string builder, just in case anyone wanted to fully write it out. But there's your update string builder, update number. You can see basically they should be one for one.
Excellent.
Not all of them are populated, but everything, the everyday things that you'll run into, they're there. There's still so much. There's some of the classes not even, before they go out, they'll be there, but they will be more, they'll initialize and so on and so forth, but they will be empty. They're being, I want people to go into it correctly. It's a work in progress, but it's already a good work in progress, and more will be added, like I say, weekly.
Yeah, and as you get, as people are asking you for things, I guess those move up the list of priorities of what you're working on.
Yeah, it's a bit like the list we said before. If I can see some examples of so on for Walmart, so I put a question next to it. If somebody said, really, Walmart will be down toward the bottom, but if 10, 15 users get in touch and say, where's your Walmart interface, or can you do a task for not where's your Walmart interface, but can you do a task for Walmart, then it gets pushed up because it's more popular than I actually expected or envisaged.
David Patterson was wondering if you had any examples of email yet.
No, not yet. No.
But coming.
No, they will do, of course. Yeah. Well, all of them will go in because there's the email bundle in there for POP and IMAP and so on and so forth. So yes, they'll go in there, and these will also be included, once it's released in our Monday webinars. So if it's we haven't quite wrapped it yet, but Andy, can you give us a point in the right direction? Then we can always do it there and then on the Monday webinar, of course.
Yeah. So you just mentioned IMAP. That's something that's hard. I mean, I've looked at it, and that could be difficult. So if you can make that easy, that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, because I looked at it. I actually looked at 2 products for IMAP. Where am I looking?
It's down 2. Down 1 more.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say everywhere but where the mouse is.
I would have pointed, but it would be rude, so I didn't do it.
So yeah, you can see there's quite a lot on that. Oh my days!
There's a lot to do. I know. It's kind of the thing though, right? Because it syncs up well with.
Did I say $320? I should put a 0 on that.
No, it's a good price. It's a good price. Yeah, if you do IMAP, that's a pretty big deal, I think.
No.
But yes, might not be as hard.
I want people to know that hopefully they're going into it for the long haul, and of course they will get their requirements, because one person will be buying it for one requirement like IMAP, another person will be buying it for maybe QuickBooks and Google Calendar and so on and so forth. They'll all be buying them for their own requirements, which of course is how I came in the first place. But over time you'll be getting, you'll tick the box for your requirement immediately, but then longer term, should somebody ask, oh, can we have this or can we have that, you're pretty safe in the knowledge that you already got the tool set to do it. It's just a matter of how do you do it rather than having to go out there and buy something.
Mm. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, I could see the value of this increasing over time. 400 might be an intro price.
So is this up per year?
No, not
are you going to do yearly or what?
It'll go on the normal maintenance, of course, as any of our products do, because we'll be adding more and more tasks and so on and so forth over time. And of course, Chilkat release updates. Since me purchasing it earlier this year, that was the .65 release, 950.65. They're on, I'm not sure what they're on now, but while I was doing this, they're on .68. So they've already got other releases in between as well. So basically, they, just like CodeJock update their products, Chilkat update theirs. And I always check for that as well. You want to make sure you get a product that isn't stagnant. If it's not been touched in 5 years, then unless you're really forced down that path, I personally wouldn't go for it. I want something that's keeping pace with modern uses and modern requirements.
So the maintenance is like 25%?
20%.
20%, okay.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Yes, any other questions? It's late on a Friday.
It is. Well, I hope this was a big surprise. It was a surprise to me even though I knew some of it. Even more than I expected. So
John, quite rightly, I asked him to keep it quiet so he wouldn't. What was it? I would neither deny or acknowledge.
I couldn't say one way or the other. Yes,
but
whether I knew anything.
But yes, but basically, it had moved on, and it's moving on daily. So yes, basically, there's lots of work gone into it. There's still lots of work to go into it, but it will take time. But as I say, you're getting in at the grassroots level. So that's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Very cool. I don't see any other questions. So, you mentioned you might you had maybe a roadmap of what else was coming up in Noyantis world?
Well, yes. There's this, obviously, which is a biggie. There is the possibility of, like I say, it'll be a DLL-based app which will hook straight into our wrapper for the Kojak calendar, and basically that will be an add-on, if you will, to the calendar, where you tick a couple of options on the calendar to say what the what the link is, the account, and so on and so forth. But then that will take over and do the lot for you, so you can just continue. If you've got the calendar in your application, the plan is for that would be tick yes, I want to link it to Google Calendar, and here's the credentials for that link. That should be it. If you've got your code to currently write data when they do X, Y, Z, then that should still carry on working as such. If they move an event and you update your records, then that will also trigger when it's moved externally. So let's say you've got your calendar and they move from 6 till 7. You've probably got code in your calendar to handle that in your records to save that record. Well, if that was done externally, it would still call that same stuff. You wouldn't have to do any extra coding. It would basically move the calendar, and that would then trigger your code to action, just as though the user had moved it with the mouse. So there'll be, seamless integration with it. So that's one. No, I can't show it on here. We'll keep it for a future webinar. But the other is, if anyone can remember, a product called GSEC. We bought the rights to it and we sat on it and not done anything for such a long time. Now that, prior to me pushing on with Chilkat, we decided to have the Chilkat wrapper take precedence. But prior to that, that was actually in the process of getting its makeover. It's source-based. It includes, it's nothing to do with, it's a security, just as user security from application to application, procedure to procedure, and so on. So it's more access rights to your application, Clarion based, but it includes a lot more visual UIs, which are all touch friendly as well. So for example, you can pop up, I need a PIN number off this user. It will just tell it to what style of window you want it to pop up, and it will rearrange the buttons randomly each time. So it's all touch friendly, but there's no looking at where they were last pressed, that type of thing. So it's got a range of those screens added to it. It's also got fingerprint recognition, and I did look at facial recognition for it, but didn't know how to do the comms. Whereas now, I do know how to do the comms. So basically, and the fingerprint's already done. So yes, basically that's GSEC will have, that's the other offering which is in the pipeline. But Chilkat's just taken its place in the development schedule.
Excellent. You're going to be busy.
I am busy, and we've got quite a lot of contract work on at the same time as well. So we are busy.
Oh, goodness. Wow. Yeah, don't plan on sleeping. We need you to finish this stuff because it looks awesome. I could use it all yesterday. So,
well, the fingerprint bit of GSEC, when we get back from DevCon, doing a particular application, and that the fingerprint bit is needed. So that'll be going into that application anyway. So that will go out into the field and into live test.
What fingerprint readers are you going to support? Or I don't even know how much they cost or even what's out there right now.
Oh, not very much at all. If I remember rightly, I think the controls are called Topaz. Yeah, I've got the box. I've got the box here somewhere. I've got the actual fingerprint reader at the side of us in the cupboard. I think it's Topaz, and they can be quite. Obviously, it depends on which one. If you just want a desktop one, that's something like $40, $50, $60. If you want to go out, but if you want ones which want to go outside and they're weatherproof, and then of course you pay more. But they all have a COM interface into them, so you can drop them straight in and so on. And that's where we'll utilise our skills of that, as well as the Clarion skills for the normal GSEC. So GSEC used to be basically user A is allowed into that screen and user B isn't. It will still have all of that, but it will have so much more. Like I say, especially for touch, touch friendly, and so on. Because I haven't got the. Just having a quick look here, but I don't think I'll have a look at this in my Dropbox because it was on another machine. Just 1 second. It's probably not. No, there's the comms, there's a thing. No, sorry, it's not. Oh, well, it's a future one coming up. But yeah, the little pop-up windows, and you just give it a style. And of course, there's a template to say which default style. There's a template setting for which default style. But you can basically say, you pop up a window, ask for this PIN number, and you just get a series of random buttons, basically bubbles, if you will, with the numbers. But they change each time you go into the screen, so you're forcing the user to go and look, and so on.
Huh. Amazing. That's really cool. Marty Blenner had a question really quick. We're gonna open your mic, Marty. Hopefully you got your headset handy.
Can you hear
Hi.
me?
Yes, good.
Well, I was just curious. Haven't tried to use Google Calendar, but in thinking about the applications for this, it struck me that it's easy enough using a user login on an application to filter the calendar events that show up for that user to be only a subset of the records in the events table. If you were to synchronize with a Google Calendar, how would that kind of functionality be able to be accomplished on the Google side?
So are you saying that the Google Calendar contains a range of events in there?
Well, I haven't used it, so I guess I'm wondering if you're using a shared calendar in some sense.
Okay.
In other words, how to accomplish something similar on an application.
I'd probably store it in the extended properties of the Google event. So in the Google event, they've got the equivalent. In our calendar wrapper for CodeJock, you've got custom properties, and you can store whatever you like against each event. Google has the same called extended properties. So you could make use of that and put the items in there so you can stamp whatever is pertinent to your application against each event.
In other words, if you had a user ID of some kind when you posted, you could put it in the custom properties on the Clarion side and post that over to the extended properties on the Google side. Then the question would be how you make use of it on the in other words, let's say someone does make a change on the Google Calendar, there's somehow you've got to be able to know who made that change.
Well, there's lots of properties. The Google API again, that's pretty well documented as well. Most of them are. But that also gives you information about the last change and which user did it. So you could actually trap stuff like that as well.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like some homework then on the Google API.
Yeah. A bit of bedtime reading, believe me.
The opposite of the bedtime reading that you use to put you to sleep.
Oh, yes.
You better be awake and digesting it. I think I wouldn't do it at bedtime. Okay, well, a lot to look at then. Thanks.
Oh, yes, lots. Okay, I think we're, to say I thought I'd run out of material about an hour ago. I thought we'd done actually all right there.
Yeah, that's what you said, but no. It's always questions now. Good presentation, Andy. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for people attending and watching. Hopefully, it give you food for thought, if nothing else.
Oh yeah, it looks great, and this is always good, I think, to have new products come into the Clarion community. Because it's it gets us. We're programmers, right? We hang around. We like to do fun things, and if we're doing the same thing over and over and over, and we're not moving forward, then it gets kind of dull. But this is not dull.
We
right?
don't want you to be a dull boy, John.
No, we do
You
not.
do need to move forward, because if you're not, yeah, if you're not, your competitors are.
Exactly.
Did you ever answer Dave Watson's question on how long's the beta pricing?
Oh, I missed that one. No, he didn't.
Probably still 2 o'clock tomorrow. No.
There you go. So, jump on that, guys. Everybody, head off to the website. Keep refreshing it until the buy button comes.
No, it's basically I'll make sure all the classes are there and the methods are there, and we've got some of the task ones are padded out and so on. And then when I think, if I got that product and it's got all the base classes are there in good shape and so on and so forth, and a few the normal task classes, when they're there, then we'll call it gold at that, because we'll always be adding to it, but we can't keep it a beta forever. We'll just, but it'll be a while yet.
Okay.
That's not to say people shouldn't go and get it yet. It's just saying that it'll be a while yet.
That's right.
So next week.
Show your support for this effort. Hey, what did Ted ask there? My OB online. What does that mean?
Oh, that's an accounting package, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we were talking about QuickBooks support, and then he mentioned MYOB. Whether that would be support.
It's mind your own business, isn't it? But it's meant in a nice way.
Right.
I think that's the name of the package.
Okay.
It depends if they have a.
Isn't MyOB like older than QuickBooks? Man,
it's been around a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were still around. I guess they are.
I remember using it back in the DOS days. I mean, it's old.
Yeah.
Gotta move forward, guys.
They do have an API.
Andy,
Yes.
Dave says, check your email. He's got questions for you.
Oh.
And
Tell Dave I'll have to do it in the morning because it's also 7:20, and I've been here since 6 a.m.
Are you going to be with us tomorrow?
Oh, God, yes, I forgot
You
about
had
that.
given us a date, and that was the 23rd.
23rd, yes.
And I already told everybody you're coming.
Then yes, I will be.
I guess.
So if anybody wants to repeat, I guess, of Andy's today, you can watch it tomorrow in Spanish.
You don't wear him out. Don't wear him out now. He has to work.
But yes, there is an MYOB API interface.
Okay, John.
I don't know the detail of it because that's the first I've just seen.
Wrap it up. We got to go talk to Florida.
I'm going to do that. Roberto, did you want to? I skipped Roberto when we went through the open webinar with all the webinars.
I know, and I felt so bad about it, and now I don't want to say anything.
No, I feel bad about it. You're going to make me feel bad about it for the whole rest of the week or something? Did you want to say anything about your the webinars? What happened?
Well,
something cool, right?
Okay. I guess we can do that.
Then I won't feel really bad.
All right. On Saturday, we helped a gal out that bought the StimulSoft software.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
.NET. So we showed her how to, from scratch, install it, install your classes, get everything going, and how to actually create a report for it to read it. She doesn't use SQL, so obviously we had to do a little more work than what you're doing because you can just read the SQL directly. So we had to export to XML or to JSON and so on. So we were showing how to do that. Obviously, we got in trouble with the classes too because we downloaded from GitHub.
You had
we download the zip and it does this crazy spacing.
You got to clone it. You got to clone it.
Shit's horrible. I don't know why they haven't fixed that, or I don't know if it's a Clarion problem. I don't know what it is, but it's horrible.
Yeah.
You can't just download the zip. Maybe you can have a zip somewhere that actually works or something.
Of it, Yeah, we can
somewhere
make a
else.
regular
We'll
zip.
host it. We'll host it or whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. But you know, obviously that's bitten too many people too many times, so we know where it's coming from. So that was on Saturday, and on Monday we helped some people out also with their synchronization with NetTalk 10 application. NetTalk 9 or 10 or something, one of the two. He had problems with the syncing engine. So we helped with that. And we also saw how to use the StimulSoft engine, but the JavaScript version of it. So
cool.
that was interesting too. And Ale actually is creating some export features and some template code that will actually grab a whole table directly, export it to JSON or XML, and send it off to StimulSoft so that it'll read it directly from that file. So it will be just a real easy plug-and-play type thing where you can just grab a whole table and send it to StimulSoft and use it. And he also a little bit of that. So that was really cool. And
he made some changes to the class, and gave me, and I need to update the GitHub still on it, but it's they were good changes, so they're going into that too. So
yeah, some of the parameters to send to it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Great.
Right. And so it's looking good. It's looking good for StimulSoft, whatever it is. We probably should talk to them and see if they can still give us some kind of a discount, right? Yeah.
We could do that. Maybe we can get a CIDC discount from them.
Right. You know, like an internal discount, like we did with Noyantis or whatever. Even though Noyantis is probably, they're ending their discount code with us, aren't they, Andy?
There is no Clarion code anymore.
There is, but it's a new. You got to buy a new package. They won't do it for the updates.
Yeah.
Well, right
Although
now,
they've still got summer, they've still got 25% off if you do summer 2017.
Oh, right. But that's just a special code, just for this one thing, yeah. But yeah. For years, we got that 30% discount. Actually, at the beginning, it was 40%, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So the end of the month is 25%, even on renewals, and even if it extends whenever it ends. So mine doesn't end until December, but I'm going to go ahead and buy it for the end of September, just so I can get the 25% off. It's pretty good discount still.
Right. Yeah. It'll just continue. I mean, they just tag a year to the end of your. Yeah. Exactly. So it's a pretty good deal.
Well, why don't you do it for 5 years then and be done with it?
Yeah.
Oh, just keep adding.
Yeah, I don't think you can you? I don't know.
Quantity.
You can only buy a year, I think.
Who said so?
I don't know. I've never seen a 5-year thing on it.
Just say, hey, I ordered it 5 times.
Yeah, just keep ordering it.
Hey, John, you gotta wrap. John, you gotta wrap this up, man.
We gotta go. Thanks, Roberto, for filling us in on that. I was happy to actually hear that with the StimulSoft stuff. That's cool.
All right.
But yeah, we do have to go. We got to go call the hotel. We got to get our AV screen set up.
Okay.
Everything is good.
The one thing I do need to say regarding the Monday webinar, because I've been flat out on this today, I've got to play some catch up. So next Monday I'm not available for the user group webinar, and then the couple after that we're at CIDC. So I'm not physically in the States. We'll be over there and doing work. So basically they're going to be offline for a few weeks, unfortunately.
Okay. So you want me to cancel the next 3? Until after CIDC, maybe 4.
Until after. Yeah, and then probably the one straight after, because I fly back. I land on the Sunday, and I'm going to be tired, to be fair.
Okay, I'll cancel the next 4 webinars then for you. All right. Good to know. All right. Thanks, everybody. That was great, Andy.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Love it. And we'll see you guys not Monday, but next Wednesday, the open webinar is still going. And there's also Net Talk next week, too. And don't forget Dave and Rick next Friday. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Cheers.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend. Bye.